Hello guys, welcome to the Train Parrot. Bitcoin took a rejection from 126k and that is clearly already affecting the altcoins. We will have a look at the Bitcoin dominance, if everything is on track, what sort of damage we are taking, and more importantly, what we should be expecting in case Bitcoin steps into correction territory for Ethereum and the altcoins. Guys, if you want to trade any altcoin, consider opening an account on 2bit. 2bit was built by the same people from Bybit. It takes just 2 minutes to open an account. That is because KYC is absolutely optional. You get access to all sorts of leverage, all the variety of altcoins that you want. The UX is fantastic, super easy to use, and they give you $50 for free to trade. Now, if you start depositing your own cash, you can get a bite of the 30,000 rewards in USDT. The link is in the description, which is necessary to activate any of the rewards. And yet we are seeing some double digits corrections, but most of the altcoin market at the moment is just a single digit. So this is a humble correction, although it looks impressive to see everything in the red, with the exception of Cake today and SPX. BNB that continues trying to squeeze a bit more of the market. Everything else, it's around the single digit negative. You can see BNB shining right there in the heat map, and thanks to this small mild correction, we're getting a 63 in the altcoin season index. What this means is that we are visiting the same level of the 22nd of September. Right after that, we managed to find support and to go back into altcoin season again for a single day. I've been saying that eventually we have to come back to the altcoin season in this area in a topping year in the last months, and that typically spreads into Q1 on 2026. Now, if you watch my video from yesterday, I did a fully dedicated video on Ethereum. Do yourself a favor and watch that. But the biggest takeaway that you can find in the timestamps of any of my videos, but on that one in particular, is that Ethereum is currently in a revenge rally. And on a rejection on one of those rallies, you can easily put a new low. That could mean that I still have some chance to fill my bag of Ethereum again with a little bit more. Remember that sub 4K, I was aiming to accumulate Ethereum, but I ended up adding just a tiny bit because we didn't really correct into 3.5, where we have that decent liquidation as well. If we do that, that is definitely gonna affect further the altcoins, and maybe we get another pinch later into the altcoin season around November, possibly. But so far, this is looking similarly to what Bitcoin is doing in the price action. You probably watched that already in the video in the morning, that we have a streak all the way up on Bitcoin. Since the beginning of the rally, there hasn't been any pullback, and Bitcoin seems to be doing its first pullback so far, which is kind of shallow, we could say. Going just into 120 is nothing, just 6K down. And so it is with the altcoins that tend to overreact a lot more than Bitcoin does. Sitting at the moment at 63, that is support. If we break that, we are most likely gonna go into the 50s. That puts us away from the territory of altcoin season and into the area of pay attention, because that could be an area to accumulate for another rally. On all this rally, we peak at 60 in attention, and now we are at 28. If that 28 drops as well, that could turn into an alpha of no one really paying attention, in which case we have to pay attention. Castillo is saying that hoping we can get something like this on Ethereum. He's a bit more into the idea of going just into the 4.2, which if you watch my video from Ethereum yesterday, you know we have liquidity around those levels. Go and watch the video to see the actual levels of liquidity. But I am interested in slightly lower. If we don't get that, it's fine. I'm not calling for those lows. It's not that I have certainty that I can get lucky, but precisely if I get lucky, I take it. Week is talking about an Ethereum potential inverse head and shoulder that could form if we go into 4.2. And you can see how many people are talking for 4.2. That could be the case. that then if we go for 4.2, that doesn't hold. If too many people think that that is our support, then that could turn into not our support. Ethereum got rejected from the 4,750 resistance level. I see tons of posts like that, talking about that and referring to this as the top of the range. Makes sense. With Bitcoin, though, is different the picture, because on Bitcoin we put a higher high in here. We went into 126, we got a new all-time high, not on Ethereum. And that means that Bitcoin is in a position at the moment of a liquidity hand that could push back into the bottom of the range. Whereas on Ethereum, we just hit the highs and we got rejected. That is not enough for the price of Ethereum to make a full journey to the lows. This is a video about altcoins. Sorry about talking about Ethereum, but Ethereum, when the altcoin season is at risk, is a major data point to see where the altcoins are gonna go. If Ethereum is in bad health, I'm sorry, but the little siblings of Ethereum are just not gonna be able to do anything. Home Daddy is saying sell all your altcoins, be ready, definitely, and follow people with this sort of alpha because that is closer to a beta. Or the opposite, for example, this soon altcoins will explode, don't quit now. These are two extreme views, particularly when talking about the targets, okay? Maybe the altcoins are going to explode, but calling for a specific number based on how manipulated is the chart in terms of the timing so everything fits, that is the part I don't like. Castillo Trading is talking about Bitcoin dominance in here and the double top that we saw in 2021. Notice that the double top are the actual altcoin seasons. Sorry, Bitcoin seasons. Those are the levels where we see BTC elevated into 70%. In this cycle, that was slightly lower. Of course, Total needs to spread all the market cap across many other assets, including Ethereum. And that's why possibly that could form a double top as well. Personally, if you've been watching my Bitcoin dominance charts, I tend to think that with this double bottom, we are kind of just aiming for 48. Now, I have that as well as an invalidation point. If we go beyond that, then we're going to go into the 60 of the RSI I'm talking in here, right? So that comes with a resistance on Bitcoin dominance of 60 already. So getting into 48 is already 60. Hopefully that is it. But if we reclaim the 48, we could make a journey into the top of the range. And I'm talking about an RSI of 70 that can bring the dominance into 67 and put a slightly high versus the previous top, which is even more than a double top with a bearish divergence. Sure, because this is lower than what the price is doing. And that could form a top too. But again, I insist. So far, the chart says that we are aiming for 60% dominance. Is very close to us, and it only takes a little bit of the move of the RSI without reclaiming the falling wedge. Being slightly above it is something we can afford and still reject to the downside and get the altcoin season. Being too deep, stabbing inside the ascending wedge, that is where the Bitcoin dominance can really pump a lot more. And I'm not liking how it looks Ethereum chart today on the monthly chart. You can see 3 months with weeks to the upside. So this month has a huge responsibility. Do whatever you want with the remaining days of October. Go below it, test even 3.4, 3.2, and fine. But close October back above and take out the 4386, which is the highest close for Ethereum. That is a must, so we can also protect the current performance of the RSI, which is immaculate. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.